governments, each ballot paper has different color coding. So you cannot take ballot paper of Feredun and take it to Elisha or any other local government.
Countdown to Osun State governorship election, INEC distributes sensitive materials. President Muhammadu Buhari names campaign organization ahead of the 2019 elections. Federal government committed to providing succor to flood victims across the country. And talking sports, Nigeria Football Federation helmsman is re-elected. Good evening, I'm Cyril Stober in Abuja. Michael Olaleye is in Lagos and Abdullahi Mohammed is in Kaduna Center. Thanks for joining us on NTA Network News. President Muhammadu Buhari has approved the appointment of a campaign organization for his re-election bid in 2019 with Chibuike Rotimi Amechi as Secretary Director General. Amechi was the Director General of the Buhari Oshimbaju Presidential Campaign Committee in 2014-2015 that brought in the current administration. Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, in a statement indicates that the Director General will announce other appointments into the campaign structure as approved by the President. The Independent National Electoral Commission in Osun State has begun the distribution of sensitive materials to all the 30 local government areas of the state. Femia Fariogun has the report.
Under the supervision of security personnel and party agents, INEC took delivery of the sensitive materials from the Central Bank of Nigeria, Osogbo branch. The resident electoral commissioner in Osun, Olusegun Agbaje, said the materials would be taken immediately to all the 30 local government areas with full coverage of security personnel attached to each vehicle.
We pray that these vehicles get safely to their destination and that this election will be very free, fair, credible and peaceful. There will be no problem.
Being a litmus test for 2019 general election, INEC is bringing in innovation into its sensitive materials.
The ballot papers are customized, and out of the 30 local governments, each ballot paper has different color coding. So you cannot take ballot paper of Feredun and take it to Elisha or any other local government. The result sheets are customized as well. So you cannot take a result sheets from one RA, even in Feredun, to another RE because it is customized to that particular local government.
The materials include ballot papers, card readers, PU forms, among others. Security operatives were stationed at the entrance with men of counter-terrorism and anti-bomb units on guard. In Osogbo, Femi Afariogun, NTA News.
And still on the political turf, the All Progressives Congress says it is determined to conduct free and fair primary elections that will bring out credible candidates who will not only add value but identify themselves with the hopes and aspirations of the people of Nigeria. This is part of decisions at a meeting between APC governors and the national executive of the party in Abuja. Political correspondent Salihu Abdullahi reports.
The meeting, held behind closed doors, lasted several hours. It came less than 24 hours after the National Working Committee of the APC released a revised timetable for its primary elections nationwide. Chairman of the Progressives Governors Forum and National Chairman of the party addressed the media on issues at stake.
We have adopted both direct and indirect. Most of the states are going for indirect primaries. But for the president, it will be direct primaries.
No, there is no APC governor that is a battle. And because we are democratic, the best way to measure democracy is the presence of more than one person showing interest in an office. That does not make any other person a battle.
Meanwhile, the party has commenced screening of aspirants into various elective offices.
We had State Executive Committee meeting with stakeholders, and we settled for direct primaries.
Well, the position of the State Executive Committee of Bauchi, which they took while I was away in China with Mr. President, is for indirect primaries.
I've had the opportunity to interface and brainstorm with our party leaders.
I think for many of us that are running for the second time, the screening is just a confirmatory process.
And we are quite impressed with the level of preparation that is provided by the party leadership.
The exercise is expected to last till Saturday, 22nd September 2018. In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi, NTA News.
Still more politics. The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Yakubu Dogara, has formally declared his defection from the All Progressives Congress, APC, to the People's Democratic Party, PDP. Political correspondent Timothy Yusuf reports that the Speaker was at the National Secretariat of the PDP, where he also submitted his nomination and expression of interest forms to recontest election into his federal constituency seat in the 2019 general elections.
The Deputy National Chairman North of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Senator Babayo Gamawa, received Speaker Yakubu Dogara on behalf of the party's National Working Committee. Speaker Yakubu Dogara said his visit to the National Secretariat of the PDP is to further put all speculations about his purported defection bid to a stop.
So we welcome you back and give you all our assurances. I have decided to come back to my original roots.
Meanwhile, a member of the PDP, Ahmed Buhari, who earlier declared his intention to contest the office of the President of Nigeria, was at the National Secretariat of the PDP, where he expressed disappointment with the aspirants being fielded for the office of the President in the 2019 general election.
For the PDP to actually bounce back with all the strength that he desires, it has to present something different to the Nigerian people. You cannot present the same kind of things that you've always presented and expect something different or something new to happen. Nigerians are not excited about the aspirants that they have presented. They're same of the same. We're used to them.
Ahmed Buhari took advantage of the Not Too Young to Run Act to declare his intention in June this year. In Abuja, Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
The National Orientation Agency says the task of ensuring peaceful conduct of the forthcoming general elections should be viewed by Nigerians as a collective responsibility. Director General of the agency, Garba Abari, said this when he led the National Peace Dialogue Committee for the general elections on an advocacy visit to the headquarters of the Nigerian Army in Abuja. The committee, with representatives from civil society organizations, military and paramilitary, is to sensitize Nigerians and canvass support for peace before, during and after the 2019 elections.
The role of the Nigerian armed forces in the restoration of peace in Sierra Leone and Liberia alone, in terms of both the cost to the nation, cannot be quantified adequately. And that actually makes it imperative that preparing our minds, preparing our groups and organizations into developing a culture of peace so that our election will be the type that will be an envy of all.
The Chief of Policy and Plans, Major General Rashid Yusuf, on behalf of the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai, assured the committee of necessary support in line with its constitutional mandate. And back to the Osun governorship election, the Federal Road Safety Corps has deployed 1,500 personnel with 60 vehicles to man strategic routes during the Osun governorship election to ensure compliance with restriction of movement. Corps Marshal Boboye Uyemi, in a statement, appealed to road users, especially those plying the identified routes. While Ibadan-Akure Expressway will be opened to traffic, vehicles will not be allowed to drive off the highway into Osun State. In the same way, roads leading to the state through Iwo, Ilaoragun, Enrile and others will be temporarily closed from 7 o'clock in the morning. In other news, President Muhammadu Buhari has granted audience to the new Director General of the Department of State Services, Yusuf Magaji Bichi. State House correspondent Adamu Sambu reports on the first formal interaction between the President and the head of the State Secret Service.
Appointed about 1 week ago, the new Director General, Department of State Service, Yusuf Magaji Bichi, arrived at State House to keep a date with history. The core Secret Service operative is meeting President Muhammadu Buhari for the very first time. Their strategic meeting, held behind closed doors, lasted more than 30 minutes, but details were not made public. Mr. Yusuf Bichi began his career in the security division of the Cabinet Office in Kano, from where he joined the defunct Nigerian security organization NSO. Trained in the United Kingdom as well as the National Defense College, the DSS boss comes to the job with skills in intelligence gathering, research analysis, conflict management, and general investigation. He also acquired requisite knowledge on human resources management, risk and vulnerability, as well as counterintelligence and protective operations. In the course of his career, Mr. Bichi served as the State Director of Security in Jigawa, Niger, Sokoto, and Abia states. He was at various times the director in charge of the various directorates, Department of State Service, including Security Enforcement, Intelligence, Operations, as well as State Service Academy. Mr. Yusuf Magaji Bichi succeeded Lawal Daura, who lost his job on the 7th of last month. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
And ahead on the news tonight, federal government fulfills obligation to late Ocholi's family. The details shortly. Thanks for staying with us. The federal government has set in motion modalities for reducing the prices of local rice across the country. Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Audu Agbe, says a special fund has been set up to support rice producers, millers, as well as marketers of the commodity. Musa Baba Aliu has the details.
The federal government is concerned about the high prices of local rice in the country, despite the fact that the country has made significant progress in the production of rice paddy. This meeting between the federal government officials, rice farmers and millers is to therefore discuss factors responsible for the high cost of local rice.
Because we are concerned about the cost of rice for the Nigerian family. We want our people to feed well and feed cheaply. But these things have to be managed carefully because we're dealing with public funds.
The government says the impact of flood on rice plantations calls for concerns. The minister, however, announced that focus will be on dry season farming to cover the losses recorded to flood.
That as soon as the rains go down, you'll go into new cropping. So that some of the residual water in the land and your irrigation facilities will give us another harvest of rice in about 90 days to 120 days, so we can supply rice to the millers.
Over 40,000 hectares of rice farms have either washed away or submerged across most rice-producing states. In Abuja, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
Nigeria has become a regional office for the World Meteorological Organization, representing North, West and Central Africa. Representative of the organization and Nigeria signed the agreement, which began in 1996, to complete the establishment of the regional office. Emmanuel Anyimiro reports.
Because we are hosting the regional office, then it means if there is any benefit from the WMO to Africa, it means within this particular region, Nigeria will always be the first to benefit from that.
The signing, which was done by the Secretary General, World Meteorological Organization, Peter Retalas, at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, after Nigeria had completed its own part, signals the beginning of weather services in the regional office in Abuja.
Continue to offer you all the necessary support, or the logistic support, to make sure to give bite to that agreement Nigeria has signed, so that the office takes root firmly.
The Nigeria Meteorological Agency, NIMET, is driving the process to help actualize the dream of WMO in decentralizing its activities among the continents.
Nigeria has been doing a great job in supporting several of its neighboring countries, and Nigeria is having one of the leading Met services in whole Africa.
Principally, there are three benefits. One is controlling the communication from WMO Africa.
That regional office in Abuja will be supervising and serving about 27 countries in the North, West, and Central Africa. Emmanuel Ayemiro, NTA News.
And some labor news now. With the ongoing misunderstanding about the deadline for fixing minimum wage figures, which is leading to a threat by organized labor to go on strike, Chairman of the Tripartite Committee, Amal Pepul, is optimistic that the figures will be fixed.
That before then, government will give us the figure, and then once we get the figure, we'll reconvene. We give a date for us to reconvene. Wants a strike, and nobody wants a strike, and I don't want the minimum wage committee to end up like having a strike. Oh my God, I'd be so unhappy.
Labour has set Wednesday next week to begin a nationwide strike if the negotiating committee fails to reconvene. And an appeal has been made to state governments to, as a matter of urgency, harmonize the monthly pensions of retired permanent secretaries for the purpose of uniformity. The appeal was made by members of the Caretaker Committee of the State's Retired Permanent Secretaries Association at a two-day meeting in Abuja. Yusuf Umar has the details.
The two-day meeting is a follow-up to its maiden meeting held recently in Gombe State, where a committee made up of members from the 6 geopolitical zones was set up to draft a constitution that will guide the workings of the association. Deliberating on the draft constitution, members of the Caretaker Committee emphasized the need for a solid foundation for the association, while also calling on the state government to always accord priorities to the needs of their senior citizens.
We are laying a foundation that will be beneficial not to only us, but to even permanent secretary that will be retired in the next years to come.
Forging unity, integration, and understanding among the various associations of retired state permanent secretaries.
There are a lot of prospects and potentialities to be achieved from our coming together.
The meeting resolved to forward the approved constitution for registration with Corporate Affairs Commission. In Abuja, Yusuf Umar, NTA News.
The federal government has redeemed its pledge of comfortable accommodation for the family of late James Ocholi, former Minister of State Labour, who died in a car accident alongside his wife and son on Kaduna-Abuja Highway in 2016. Presenting this deed of gift document to the son of the late minister on behalf of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, the Permanent Secretary General Services said government has fulfilled all the 3 pledges to the family to enhance their living standards. The 4-bedroom flat donated to the family is situated at the Flowers Garden Estate in a poor district area of the Federal Capital Territory. Correspondent Ahmed Ondas Ahmed reports that other pledges by the federal government, which have already been fulfilled, are scholarship and automatic appointment to the remaining children of the late minister. The Executive Director of Administration and Training, NTA, Dr. Steve Egbu, has called for total restructuring of Nigerian universities to ensure robust academic programs that meet international standards. Dr. Egbu made this known at the 2018 conference of the History and International Relations Department, Ebonyi State University, Abakaliki. Uchechukwu Onwe reports.
The lead paper presented by the Executive Director Administration and Training, Nigerian Television Authority, Steve Egbu, titled Nigerian Tertiary Education and the Challenges of the 21st Century, dwelt on the recent Federal Government Commission Needs Assessment Survey that Nigerian universities are suffering a manpower deficit of about 60%. Successive governments have taken steps by creating supervisory and regulatory agencies under the Ministry of Education to ensure basic minimum academic standards for all universities and polytechnics, but corruption has bedeviled the growth of the education system.
There is need for a technology-compliant tertiary education in Nigeria. We missed the Industrial Revolution. We must be careful not to miss the technological revolution.
Education from the tertiary, down to nursery, is yearning for restructuring.
In a keynote address, the Vice-Chancellor of Ebonyi State University, Professor Chigozie Ogbu, thanked the state governor for investing heavily in the overall growth and development of the university, as well as the convener, Professor Ngbada, and the organizers who believed that the time for restructuring the education system of this country has come.
The education sector is very important and should be restructured, and it's been restructured here in the State University.
The event, which was held at the Law Auditorium of the university, attracted principal officers of the institution and other lead speakers outside the state. In Abakaleke, Uchechukwu Onwe, NTA News.
And Lagos, the Center of Excellence, is our first stop on Network News tonight. Michael, tell us about the Education Summit in Lagos.
Thank you, Cyril, for joining us in Lagos. The flag officer commanding Western Naval Command, Rear Admiral Abila Ngalabak, has been inspecting some of the Navy's military assets in Lagos. He reassured the maritime sector that the Navy will ensure security in the waterways. Dotun Oguyemi reports on his familiarization tour to some naval units.
The new flag officer commanding Western Naval Command, Rear Admiral Abila Ngalabak, steps on the deck of the 38-year-old NNS Aradu for inspection. The frigate, which is the flagship of the Nigerian Navy, has capabilities for anti-air, anti-surface, anti-submarine, as well as electronic warfare. Rear Admiral Ngalabak also inspected the fast attack craft NNS Ekpe and the marine sweeper NNS Ohui, two other warships of the Navy, as he ascertained the operational state of the fleet under his command. He told the officers and men of some of the Navy ships at the harbor of NNS Beecroft to maintain discipline.
We are a military organization, and the thing that sets us apart from any organization is discipline.
The flag officer commanding also examined the security challenges on the nation's coastline and says the Navy is poised for effective operation.
Every single day, there's a ship at sea. That is at the high sea. But along the channel, we have a lot of boats. The base, make sure that there are at least 2-3 boats inspecting the channel from the fairway buoy right into the channel. So I can say there's a marked improvement from some time back.
This familiarization visit outlined several issues such as safety on the nation's waterways, to which Rear Admiral Ngalabak says the Nigerian Navy is addressing with the constant patrol of the nation's high seas by vessels such as this one, the NNS Aradu, for the protection of coastline assets and the maritime domain. In Lagos, Dotun Oguyemi, NTA News.
An innovative approach hinged on talent and entrepreneurial development has been suggested for the education sector. Speakers at a summit on education held in Lagos said it will lead to rapid economic development in the country. Paulo Mukago has details.
The Education Summit, the third in the series, is born out of the need to encourage budding talents. It also seeks to address the gaps in the education curriculum by giving more emphasis to technical and vocational skills development. A former rector of Lagos State Polytechnic, Olawumi Gaspar, who presented a paper on a theme managing human capital potential, recommended a revolutionary change to promote unearthing of latent talents in the education sector. This, he stressed, should be complemented with rapid investment in human capital and infrastructural development.
No matter the amount of money you invest in the economy, if you don't have young boys and girls seated here that have the competencies to drive it, it's all a waste of money.
Other contributors reiterated the relevance of technical and vocational training to drive socio-economic activities.
We must support government efforts in formulating new policies and implementing same towards promoting entrepreneurship and multi-skills acquisition at our school, so that our graduates will be exposed to business opportunities.
The summit is an initiative of Ikorodu Division Resource Development Group.
Speakers at this summit say the infusion of business and vocational skills into the nation's educational system is what is needed to drive the economy. In Lagos, Paul Omukago, NTA News.
You're still watching NTA Network News. More reports ahead after this timeout. Please.
Thanks for staying with us. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has commended Delta State for its swift response in bringing comfort to flood victims. The Vice President, on a one-day tour of flood-ravaged communities, promised federal government support in resettling the victims. Ifeoma Okafor has details.
The VP, accompanied by the Minister for Labour and Productivity, Chris Ngige, was received by Governor Fanyo Kowa, his deputy, Kingsley Otuaro, and other top government officials. The VP is in Delta State to have an on-the-spot assessment of the havoc caused by the recent flood. He visited the ICE camp, where thousands of the victims have already been accommodated. It was conducted around the medical center, accommodation section for women and children, and the storeroom. The Vice President thereafter unveiled his package of hope.
The President has actually ordered the declaration of a national disaster in 4 of the states, including Delta State, to explain, and this I think underscores the enormity of the disaster here and what needs to be done. There's a lot of work that needs to be done, not just by way of providing temporary relief and succor, which is being done in the IDP camps. And we've also asked that the National Emergency Management Authority move quickly to supply additional relief materials for all of the IDPs. I expect that by the end of today or tomorrow, we should have an additional relief materials, water, food relief, and beddings and all of that, whatever is required, not necessarily in this camp, but in all of the camps, all of the IDP camps or holding camps as they are now called, all across the state. Now the more difficult part, and that's the part of it that we need to discuss fully with the state government, is how to ensure that when the water recedes, when the flooding subsides, how we're able to resettle people and and be able to bring them back or put them back in a state where they'll be able to continue their lives normally.
We are very happy that he has found time very early to visit Delta State, following the flooding which has gone through several states now, because we are aware that in the flooding process, usually Delta State is the last to be impacted. We will do our best as a state to provide the things that you need and to keep you comfortable and to keep you healthy.
About 8,000 persons have already been evacuated into 12 IDP camps in Delta State. In Asaba, Ifeoma Okafor, NTA News.
And the news continues now as we link up with Abdullahi in our Kaduna Network Center. Abdullahi.
Good evening and thanks for joining us here in Kaduna. Minister of Defense Mansur Muhammad Dang Ali says Nigeria will continue to strengthen her relationship with Germany, especially in fighting terrorism. The minister stated this in a message to the inauguration of a rehabilitation center for injured soldiers at the 44 Army Reference Hospital, Kaduna. Haman Jabani reports.
It's a fallout of an agreement signed between Nigeria and Germany in December 2017. The Memorandum of Understanding was struck with a view to supporting Nigeria in the rehabilitation of soldiers injured in combat and non-combat operations. Minister of Defense Mansur Dang Ali, represented by Chief of Logistics, Defense Headquarters, Major General Mohammed Garba, described the development as a major milestone in an effort to provide optimal healthcare intervention to troops of the Nigerian Armed Forces.
What we have today is a product of our shared determination. Rehabilitation is integral to complete recovery from trauma, and his facilities will play a key role in providing effective rehabilitative care to service personnel.
Germany has started the cooperation with the Nigerian armed forces many decades ago, and we have enhanced the cooperation a few years ago.
Holistic health care for the wounded soldiers involves evacuation, evaluation, treatment, and rehabilitation, which the center is equipped to handle. Hamad Jamani, NTA News.
Emir of Kano, Muhammad Sanusi II, has commiserated with victims of flood in Gwarzo and Rimengado local government areas of the state with a call on relevant authorities to provide succor to the victims. Lawal Sallo Inua reports that the disaster claimed 2 lives.
Residents of Zango and Beriberi quarters in Gwarzo town, as well as that of Juju village in Rimengado local government, were worst hit by the floods. More than 100 residential quarters were destroyed by the rainstorm. The calamity also claimed lives of 2 underage children. Condoling the mother of the deceased, the Emir of Kano, Muhammad Sanusi II, described the death of a 10-year-old Safia and a 3-year-old Usaini as unfortunate. He prayed Almighty Allah to grant them eternal rest. Emir Muhammad Sanusi II pledged to rebuild the collapsed building for the mother of the late children. While at the refugees camp, the Emir commiserated with the victims and prayed Almighty Allah to prevent future occurrence. Emir of Kano, Muhammad Sanusi II, called for the state and federal government to assist the victims of flood disaster so as to ease their hardship. Lawal Sallo, Inua, NTA News.
Many thanks, Inu. And that's it from here. Network News now continues in Abuja with Cyril. Cyril, over to you.
Thank you, Abdullahi. The presidency has reacted to what it describes as crude speeches credited to Senator Bukola Saraki, who recently joined the People's Democratic Party with the ambition of running for president of Nigeria. The senior special assistant to the president on media and publicity, Garba Shehu, in a statement, urged Buhari supporters to exercise restraint in language and conduct and put across their views in a decent manner. The statement adds that throughout his political career, Senator Saraki had shown that he can go to any length to promote his personal interest. Now for some business news, the World Bank invests $3.5 million in data gathering in Nigeria, just as the federal government welcomes United Nations' move to tackle development challenges in the Sahel region. For details of these and more, here is Chukunanso Mwabweze.
Good evening and a warm welcome to Business News. The World Bank is investing $3.5 million in the 2018 Nigerian Living Standards Survey to be carried out across the country by the National Bureau of Statistics. Statistician General of the Federation, Yemi Kaleate's sensitization workshop ahead of the survey says all is set for the exercise, which will cover more than 22,000 selected households over the next 1 year.
Part of the information we need to rebase is what we are doing right now. To be able to rebase, you need to get information on household consumption expenditure. It has not been done since 2009. We don't want to rebase. The 2009 data was good for the last rebasing, but for the next one, you need updated information.
The result of the survey is to serve as a quality data for aids and intervention by development partners for Nigeria. Meanwhile, the federal government has welcomed the Sahel Initiative by the United Nations aimed at addressing developmental challenges facing countries in the Sahel region of Africa, noting that security challenges ravaging the region have taken much of the resources that would have been channeled to development programs. The Minister of Budget and National Planning, Senator Udoma Udodoma, while receiving the special advisor in the Office of the Secretary General of the United Nations in charge of the Sahel region in Abuja, said Nigerian government considers the project a very important initiative. And the stock market recovered from its downward trend, with the all-share index appreciating by 0.33% to close today's trading at 32,480.89 basis points in 2,873 deals, valued at more than 2 billion naira. NEM Insurance, First Aluminium Nigeria, and Zenith Bank were the most traded stock. That's business news at this time. I am Chukunonso Mwabweze. Thanks for being there.
The Nigerian youth must be encouraged to play an active role in the sustenance of the anti-corruption war in the country. This is the view of resource persons at a special forum of anti-corruption situation room for secondary schools held in Abuja to sensitize youths to the effect of corruption in the society. John Yaku has the details.
The lecture, titled Consumer Protection Through Regulatory Accountability and Corporate Responsibility, Director General, Consumer Protection Council urged the students to be actively involved in the fight against corruption, as government alone cannot face the war. To achieve this, he urged them to demand and always insist on what is right.
Unless people, there are consequences for behavior, more than likely, you're never likely to change behavior.
Prevention, prosecution, punishment. Prevention is the most important.
The target group is not left behind on issues of corruption and its effect on the society.
Also help the government by informing them of crime.
To end corruption, there should be good leaders that are trusted.
If you see someone doing corruption, don't even try to do it. Get to the right agencies like EFCC.
National Orientation Agency is impressed with the forum.
You have seen from the engagement that these little children have exhibited a high level of understanding of the issues.
The ICPC and EFCC as stakeholders thanked the organizers for taking steps to safeguard the future of the nation. In Abuja, John Yaku, NTA News.
And sports is next in our lineup right after this timeout.
Kehinde suffers from indigestion. His twin Taiyi suffers from heartburn. Sometimes it's the other way around, or both. That's why they use Gaviscon Double Action. It soothes within 3 minutes and lasts for up to 4 hours. For double relief from heartburn and indigestion, Gaviscon Double Action.
This is to announce the passing of our mother, Hajia Zainab Abdullahi Oja Ayiba. She was aged 79. Special 40th day prayer comes up on 23rd September 2018 at Alhaji Abdullahi Adamu Compound, number 12, Old Egume Road, Ayiba, Dekina Local Government, Kogi State. Time 10 a.m. She is survived by many children and grandchildren, amongst whom are Hajia Salamatu Beiwa Umar Eluma, National Woman Leader of All Progressives Congress, APC, and Right Honorable Hassan Abdullahi, Deputy Speaker, Kogi State House of Assembly. Hajia Salamatu Beiwa Umar Eluma, APC National Woman Leader. Announcer.
Obiagali Ugoke now brings us news trending across the globe.
Hello and thanks for joining us. Liberia's government has banned 15 people, including the son of former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, from leaving the country while it investigates the alleged disappearance of millions of dollars intended for the central bank. The Ministry of Information said in a statement that Charles Sirleaf, the deputy governor of the central bank, and the former governor of the bank, Milton Weeks, are among those barred from traveling abroad. The government has ordered an investigation into the alleged disappearance of the newly printed banknotes. In the meantime, the United States said it is ready to resume talks with North Korea after Pyongyang pledged on Wednesday to dismantle its key missile facilities. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said he has invited North Korea's foreign minister to meet in New York next week with the aim of completing its denuclearization by January 2021. And lastly, European Union leaders met Thursday in Salzburg, Austria, for an informal summit to discuss migration and Brexit. EU Council President Donald Tusk said progress has been made on curbing irregular migration since Mediterranean arrivals peaked 2015. Leaders insist Theresa May needs to give guarantees on the Irish border before they grant her the Brexit deal. And that's it from this end. Do stay tuned for the rest of the news. I'm Obiageli Ugoke.
And sports now. Incumbent president of the Nigeria Football Federation, NFF, Amaju Pinnick, has been re-elected. Abidu Yunusa has details of that.
That Amaju Pinnick has sold and sold, hereby declared winner and hereby.
That was the chairman electoral committee, Mohammed Sani Katu, declaring the incumbent NFF president, Amaju Melvin Pinnick, as the winner of the 2018 NFF Elective Congress, having fulfilled all the requirements of Act 36 of NFF Status 2016 and defeated 3 other candidates. Former NFF president Aminu Megari came second with 8 votes. In another contest, the incumbent first vice president of the NFF, Sheyi Akinwumi, defeated Sunday Dele Ajayi to win the post of NFF first vice president by 42 votes to 2. Ibrahim Musa Gusau defeated Patrick Ifanyi Uba, who withdrew from the race, by 42 votes to 1 as the chairman of chairmen. 44 delegates drawn from NFF affiliate associations participated in the voting, which was supervised by FIFA and CAF observers. The president-elect, Amaju Melvin Pinnick, pledged to uphold the implementation of policies and programs to develop Nigerian football at all levels.
I want to thank the president, but beyond that, it's just to continue with our vision of what we want to do for Nigerian football.
Earlier, the event was declared open by the governor, Katsina State, Aminu Bello Mosari, who enumerated some of the achievements recorded by the NFF in recent years and appealed for a free and fair elections. The elected executives will steer the affairs of Nigerian Football Federation for the next 4 years. In Katsina, Abidu Yunusa, NTA News.
And the death has been announced of Jonathan Bulus, who until his death was Assistant Manager, Production Services, Programs Directorate, the NTA headquarters in Abuja. A native of Wukari town in Taraba State, Jonathan Bulus will be buried on Friday, the 21st, in his hometown. And that concludes Network News tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Cyril Stober. Good night.